So in an interesting turn of play, Mexico is now making some big demands of the U.S. in exchange for helping to stop the record surge of migrants at our southern border. President Lopez Obrador has a wish list that includes $20 billion he wants for Latin America and Caribbean countries in order to help tame this flood at our border. He wants us to give them $20 billion. He also is requesting that 10 million Hispanic residents who've been in the United States for more than 10 years, that all sanctions would be removed against 10 million people. He also wants sanctions lifted against Venezuela and a suspension of the U.S. blockade of Cuba in return for being helpful on this flood of migrants who are coming into the United States. So with that, we bring in the House Judiciary Committee Chairman, Ohio Republican Jim Jordan. Congressman, always good to have you with us. Thank you very much, Chairman. What's your reaction to this report from NBC that these are the demands of Obrador if he wants to be helpful?
What is he now? The president of Mexico is a member of Congress? For goodness, and what a contrast. I mean, President Trump told Mexico, you either help us with this remain in Mexico policy where they're detained and they wait in Mexico while we evaluate their asylum claims. You either help us with that, or he said, we'll put tariffs on, we'll take action. So he was the one dictating how this was going to work. And now we have the president of Mexico telling the Biden administration. I mean, what a contrast. Again, I think it shows just how ridiculous this whole situation has become. And frankly, Martha, the American people understand it. Recent polling shows 8 out of 10 Americans know that what's happening on the border is a huge problem. It is a crisis because they understand the magnitude of it. We're on pace in the Biden administration to go to 12 million migrants coming into the country. That is the equivalent of the entire population of Ohio. And we're not a small state. We're the 7th largest state in the country. That's how big this problem is. And now we have the president of Mexico acting like he's a member of the United States Congress, for goodness sake.
It's pretty incredible. And when you think about the role of the cartels in all of this, a huge force of power within Mexico. Yep. And now you obviously have the U.S. government, the president, turning to Mexico and saying, OK, we need to talk about this. And the word from the administration is, well, we're on the same page about a lot of things. Congress would have to do some of these things, in order to get some of this negotiation through. I want to pull up a quote from Mary Anastasia O'Grady, who covers this issue deeply and has for a long time at the Wall Street Journal. Here's what she says in her piece called Is AMLO, which is, the shortened version of the Mexican president's name, blackmailing Biden. She says Mr. Biden needs Mexico's cooperation as he strives to preserve reckless U.S. immigration policy and still get reelected. The world's bullies are on the move in Europe and the Middle East. Mr. Biden is signaling weakness as if it's a secret progressive recipe for world peace. You don't have to travel 7 time zones to see how the Biden administration forfeits U.S. leadership. Ground zero is the Mexico-U.S. border. So, how do you think this plays politically, Congressman?
Well, I think, again, the American people got common sense. They see it. But the point is exactly right. When you project weakness from the Oval Office, bad things happen. You get the situation on our border. You get the exit from the debacle that was the exit from Afghanistan. I'll never forget the picture of people trying to jump on the wheels of that plane as it's taking off. You get Russia coming into Ukraine. You get Hamas doing the terrible things they did to Israel over 3 months ago now, and it continues to this. So you get all that when you project weakness from the Oval Office. I will never forget when Russia first went into Ukraine. Mike Pompeo was on I think it might have been your show, but he's on Fox, and he was asked a question, Mr. Secretary, would this have happened in a Trump administration? Mike gave the best answer. He says, the short answer is I don't know, but I do know this. It didn't happen in a Trump administration. And that says it all. And what we see on the border didn't happen in a Trump administration. And what happened in Israel 3 months ago didn't happen in a Trump administration. And the country, I think, understands that. And that will be a key element over the next 11 months as we go through this presidential election.
So here's another headline. NBC News says that Biden is, quote, running out of options to fix the border. The Biden administration is asking Mexico to curb the huge flow of migrants into the U.S. as Biden runs out of options to fix a problem that's hurting his polling. But he has other options, Congressman, than asking Mexico or trying to pay Mexico off, essentially, in order to try to stem some of this at their Guatemalan border. And all of that is part of the mix here. There are things he could do with executive orders borders without any help from them, aren't there?
Yes, don't detain people who come. The incentive now is if you get here, there's no wall to get over because Biden stopped building it. There's no remain in Mexico while we evaluate your asylum claim. And once you get here, you will be released to wherever you want to go. So all the incentive is to come. If he says, no, you're not getting released, we're gonna go back to building the wall, and we're gonna negotiate from a position of strength with Mexico to go back to remain in Mexico policy, you would stop the incentive, you would stop the flow. But he's not willing to do that, it seems to me. So he could do all those things. What we need to do in Congress is insist on those things and attach it to every single must-pass bill. I think it could actually be one sentence. No money, no American tax dollars can be used to process or release into the country any new migrant. So we simply say suspend it, time out. It's gotten so bad, we're on pace for 12 million. Time out, no more. That's what the position of the Congress should be. And frankly, the United States Senate should adopt that position and demand the White House do it.
Okay, before I let you go, what should Americans expect when they watch the beginning of the Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, impeachment hearing process that begins this week?
Well, this is the secretary who presided over all this. So I support Chairman Green and the Homeland Security Committee and what they're pursuing here. I also would add, this is also the federal agency that under Mayorkas who said we need a disinformation governance board. So not only has he blown it all on the border and created this crisis down there, he's also the same secretary who said, oh, we think we should tell Americans what they can say and what they can say. That, I think, is why you see this push from the Homeland Security Committee.
Chairman Jordan, thank you. Always good to have you here. Thank you very much.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.